They say the heart is the most loyal organ in your body. It beats for you, literally, every second of your life, without ever asking for a break. But what happens when that silent, faithful servant quietly begins to fail, and you don't even see it coming? Hello, health champions. If you're over 60 and worried about your heart, I want to start by telling you something that may surprise or even shock you. Most people don't die from blocked arteries. They die because the heart muscle itself loses the ability to contract and relax. It runs out of oxygen. It chokes. And then, it simply stops. This condition is called hypoxia, a lack of oxygen reaching the heart muscle. And yet, no one talks about it. All the focus is on cholesterol, or stents, or blood thinners. But very few talk about why the heart runs out of oxygen in the first place. Today, we're going to uncover 5 hidden threats, triggers that damage your heart quietly, day after day, without chest pain, without warning signs, until it's too late. And I know this conversation matters because I've read your stories. Like Melanie, who wrote, "They told me my arteries were perfectly fine, but my heart was failing anyway. I'm only 46, and I'm on oxygen 24/7. Or Tim, who said, "I lost my best friend last year to a sudden heart attack. He wasn't overweight. He didn't smoke. We never saw it coming." And that's exactly why we need to talk about what no one else is talking about. Each of these hidden triggers we'll discuss today, whether it's chronic stress, certain medications, or even sugar, acts like a slow leak in your heart's oxygen tank. But here's the good news. These are not your fate. They're signals, and once you can read them, you can respond. So grab a pen, share this with someone you love, and stay with me because this could be the most important 20 minutes you'll spend this week. Let's open the door to the truth. And maybe, just maybe, give your heart one more chance to keep beating. Strong and free. Number 1. Stress and adrenaline. Imagine this. You're not running. You're not lifting anything heavy. You're not even out of breath. But your heart is sprinting. Not because your body asked it to, but because your mind told it the world is on fire. Welcome to the invisible war zone of chronic stress. And if you're over 60, this enemy might already be living rent-free in your chest. Let's talk facts. According to the American Psychological Association, over 75% of adults report experiencing moderate to high levels of stress. But here's the twist. Your body doesn't know if the stress is from a heart-pounding emergency or just a bad day at the pharmacy. Your heart responds the same way. Adrenaline spikes. Glucose floods your system. Your blood pressure rises. And then it begins. Adrenaline, that fight-or-flight hormone, isn't just making your palms sweat. It's force-feeding your heart sugar. Yes, even if you haven't eaten any. And that sugar? It turns into lactate, then into lactic acid, lowering your blood pH and starving your heart of oxygen. This chemical chain reaction creates hypoxia, or oxygen deprivation in the heart muscle. And that's not just science talk. Hypoxia is what causes arrhythmias, chest tightness, and even sudden heart failure, especially when your body is already weakened by age, medication, or underlying disease. According to the Cleveland Clinic, stress-induced ischemia, oxygen-starved heart tissue triggered by emotional distress, is a real and underdiagnosed phenomenon in older adults. Let's break it down in plain language. Imagine your heart is a hard-working orchestra. Every instrument plays in harmony. Your breathing, your rhythm, your pulse. Now, imagine stress as a drunk conductor barging in, speeding things up, pushing adrenaline, throwing off the beat, until the music collapses into chaos. That's what happens when stress becomes chronic. And I've read your stories, dear listeners. You know what I'm talking about. Step 1. Reclaim your rhythm. Take daily walks in nature. Just 20 minutes of walking can reduce cortisol, the sister hormone of adrenaline. It's free, it's simple, and it resets your nervous system. Step 2. Practice pulse breaks. Pause 3 times a day. Breathe deeply. Inhale for 4 seconds. Exhale for 6. Do this for 3 minutes. This activates your parasympathetic system, the rest and restore mode. Step 3. Don't isolate. Loneliness in seniors increases heart disease risk by 29%, according to the CDC Connect. Comment. Join a group. Even watching this podcast together with someone can lower emotional tension. Step 4. Get help when needed. Talk to a therapist or counselor. The battle you're fighting isn't weakness. It's biology. It's chemical. And it's real. Because here's the truth. You don't need to outrun stress. You just need to outsmart it. And once you do, your heart can finally breathe again. Let's keep going. Because the next hidden danger is one you might be inhaling every single day without even knowing. Number 2. Smoking and vaping. Let me ask you something. If there were no cholesterol in a cigarette, no saturated fat in a vape pen, then why are smokers and vapors still 2 to 5 times more likely to die from a heart attack? Because it's not always what you eat. Sometimes it's what you breathe. You see, every puff of cigarette smoke or vape vapor is like sending a chemical flare through your bloodstream. Let's start with nicotine, a well-known stimulant that doesn't just relax you. It spikes adrenaline in seconds, mimicking the body's emergency mode. Adrenaline, as we covered in Part 1, raises blood sugar, blood pressure, and heart rate, setting the stage for hypoxia, that dangerous oxygen-deprived state that suffocates heart muscle cells. But it gets worse. Most vape liquids, and even fog machines, contain propylene glycol, a compound also used in antifreeze. When heated and inhaled, it elevates lactate levels, which converts into lactic acid, lowering your blood pH and silently suffocating your heart's ability to contract. According to the American Heart Association, even e-cigarettes can harm the lining of your arteries, increase inflammation, and alter your blood's ability to clot. OCHA Scientific Statement, 2020. This is not just theory. This is your lived experience. That's the trap. Marketing tells you vaping is harmless, but science says otherwise. So what can you do if you've been a smoker, or a vapor, or you live with someone who does? Here are small wins that make a big difference. Step 1. Replace the habit, not just the product. Many seniors use smoking as a stress crutch. Try replacing it with deep breathing breaks, herbal teas, or even hand-based activities like crochet, puzzles, or whittling, something to keep both mind and hands engaged. Step 2. Test your heart's whisper. Ask your doctor about doing an LDH test, lactate dehydrogenase, or CRP test. Both can give early signs of hidden inflammation or tissue stress caused by toxins and hypoxia. Step 3. Protect the people around you. Secondhand smoke is no joke. It increases the risk of heart attacks in non-smokers by up to 30%, according to the CDC Secondhand Smoke Facts. And if you've already quit, celebrate it. Post it in the comments. Inspire someone else. Because every puff you didn't take is one more heartbeat you gave back to your future. Let's keep uncovering what's silently damaging your heart, because the next trigger isn't in the air. It's on your plate. Number 3. Sugar and fructose. Let's be honest. You've earned your sweet tooth. A warm slice of pie at a grandchild's birthday, A little orange juice with your morning pills. Or maybe just a scoop of vanilla ice cream before bed. It's just a little sugar, we say. But for your heart, it might be one spoonful too many. Because sugar, especially fructose, isn't just a treat. It's a metabolic wrecking ball for your cardiovascular system. Here's how it works. When you eat sugar, your body breaks it down into glucose and fructose. Glucose becomes energy, or so we hope. But when there's too much glucose, it turns into pyruvate, then into lactate, and finally into lactic acid, a toxic buildup that lowers your pH, damages your tissues, and chokes your heart muscle of oxygen. That's right. Too much sugar equals more acid equals hypoxia equals a weaker, struggling heart. But wait, what about fructose? Fructose, commonly found in sodas, juices, and processed snacks, goes straight to the liver. There, it generates fat, raises LDL cholesterol, and produces even more lactic acid than glucose. According to the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, excess fructose is directly linked to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, metabolic syndrome, and increased risk of atherosclerosis. And if you're diabetic, or even pre-diabetic, this risk multiplies. Now, here's the part that hurts the most. You don't even need to be eating sugar to suffer its effects. Remember what we discussed in Part 1? Chronic stress releases adrenaline, which increases your blood sugar, even if you haven't touched dessert. So what's a senior supposed to do? We understand. You're tired of the food rules. You don't want to live without joy. But you don't need to give up joy, just the poison that pretends to be joy. Here's how to start healing. Step 1. Ditch the liquid sugar. No more fruit juices, sodas, or healthy smoothies. Water, tea, infused lemon water. Those are your new best friends. Step 2. Learn to taste again. After 10 to 14 days without sugar, your taste buds reset. Suddenly, strawberries are sweet. Cinnamon feels rich. Life has flavor again, without the heartache. Step 3. Read labels like your life depends on it, because it might. Watch out for high fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, maltose, sucrose, agave. Whatever fancy name they give it, your heart can't be fooled. And finally, from your fellow listener, sugar may be sweet, but oxygen to your heart is sweeter. Now let's turn to another threat, one that might be hiding in your medicine cabinet right now. 4. Medications and nutrient deficiencies, the forgotten root of heart failure. Sometimes what hurts your heart is not what you add to your body, but what gets taken away. And no, I'm not talking about love or loss, though we'll get to that in Part 5. I'm talking about critical vitamins quietly depleted by the very medications meant to protect you. Let's start with metformin, a common drug used to manage type 2 diabetes. It's prescribed to millions, especially seniors. But did you know metformin is known to deplete both vitamin B1, thiamine, and vitamin B12? According to the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, long-term use of metformin can cause a 30% reduction in B12 absorption, leading to fatigue, nerve damage, and yes, heart complications. Why is this important? Because both B1 and B12 are essential to mitochondrial function. They help your cells, especially heart muscle cells, convert fuel into energy. Without them, your heart can't beat properly. It becomes oxygen-starved, inflamed, and vulnerable to arrhythmias, even necrosis, tissue death. And it's not just metformin. Statins, used to lower cholesterol, can deplete CoQ10, a powerful antioxidant required for heart energy. Diuretics, for high blood pressure or heart failure, often drain your body of potassium and magnesium, leading to irregular heartbeats and cramps. Tylenol, acetaminophen, when taken frequently, can contribute to lactic acidosis, a dangerous buildup of lactic acid that chokes the heart. Even alcohol, some sleep aids, and antidepressants can slowly chip away at the nutrient reserves your heart needs to survive. Let me be clear. I'm not saying stop your medication. I'm saying complete the picture. So here's how to do it wisely. Step 1. Ask your doctor to test for deficiencies. A simple blood test can reveal low levels of B1, B12, magnesium, or CoQ10. It's a small ask with big returns. Step 2. Supplement wisely. Vitamin B1, benfotiamine form, helps regulate glucose metabolism and reduce lactic acid. Vitamin B12, methylcobalamin form, supports nerve and heart tissue. Tocotrienols, a form of vitamin E, improve oxygenation of heart muscle. Step 3. Don't forget the heart helpers. Magnesium for rhythm, potassium for muscle contraction, omega-3s to calm inflammation. Your heart is an engine. It needs the right fuel, and it needs all its parts. So before you blame age or genetics or even your lifestyle, look into what might be missing, because sometimes the solution isn't to take away more. It's to give your body back what it's quietly lost. And now, let's move into our final hidden trigger, one that breaks the heart both emotionally and biologically. 5. Emotional shock. Let me ask you something deeply personal. Have you ever lost someone and felt like your heart physically broke? As it turns out, that's not just a metaphor. There's a real condition called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy, also known as broken heart syndrome. And it affects older adults, especially women, more than anyone else. It's triggered by sudden emotional shock, the death of a spouse, a phone call with bad news, the end of a long friendship, even financial devastation. Your body floods with adrenaline. Your blood vessels tighten. Your heart's left ventricle, where all your power lives, balloons out and stops pumping properly. According to the Cleveland Clinic, the symptoms mimic a heart attack: chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue. But when doctors look inside, your arteries may be clear, because it's not the plumbing, it's the electrical current of grief. So what can we do about the kind of pain that medicine can't see? Step 1. Say it out loud. Don't bottle grief. Don't apologize for your sadness. Join a grief group. Call a friend. Write your feelings down. Unspoken grief becomes physiological stress. Step 2. Practice grounding rituals. Light a candle. Play a song that heals. Walk the same path every morning. Ritual brings rhythm, and rhythm helps the heart remember how to beat again. Step 3. Choose connection over isolation. Studies from the National Institute on Aging show that loneliness increases heart disease by nearly 30% in people over 60. Even watching and commenting on this video is a step toward community. Because here's the truth: a broken heart can kill you, but a heart that's seen pain and still chooses to love, connect, and heal can save others. Let your healing become someone else's hope. And now, let's bring everything together. Your heart deserves a second chance. So now you know the truth. Not all heart attacks come from clogged arteries. Sometimes they come from chronic stress, silent nutrient losses, invisible toxins, hidden sugar, or even the sheer weight of emotional grief. These are the 5 hidden saboteurs no one warned you about. But today, you're no longer in the dark. And that makes all the difference. Because knowledge isn't just power, it's prevention. And action isn't just possible, it's necessary. So here's what I ask you to do. Take one small step. Start by walking today, or cutting that one soda, or checking the label on your medication. Maybe even picking up the phone to call someone you miss. Then share this video, because someone else you love might be silently suffering from one of these hidden triggers, and they don't even know it yet. And finally, speak up in the comments. Tell us, which of these 5 hidden triggers surprised you most? What change are you committing to today? Your story could be the spark someone else needs to save their life. Your heart is not done yet. It's been through storms, strain, and silence. But with the right care, it still has so much to give. Stay strong, stay connected, and remember, a heart that's broken can still beat stronger than ever.